Today I'm going to be rigging some expressions. And like everything else, there are multiple ways to do it. So I'm just going to be showing how I do it. And hopefully it's helpful to anybody watching this now or in the future. And we're using the lovely Celestia Dwarfs model for this. I will link her Twitch and Twitter and everything in the description, so go check her out because she's awesome. We're also going to be rigging the puffy cheeks. That. So it's actually pretty easy. So I will be showing how to do that as well. First things first, everything is I've already set up all the meshes, and I do have a video on setting up meshes and how to do hierarchy and all that. So you can check that out if you want to and if you need some help with that. So the first thing I do is I make a folder for expressions and I start setting up the parameters. I've already did this for the sad eyes, like this. Start with the toggles. So you can do it two ways. You can either set up specific toggles, which is what I'm gonna do, for having the eyebrows and the mouth be either sad all the time or happy all the time, or kind of embarrassed, like having, here, let me show you the eyebrow, not that one. You can have it kind of like up like that all the time, or down like that all the time, depending on what kind of expressions you're going for. So we're gonna use toggles so that we don't have to key in those keyforms for every single parameter. We just have to do it for 2 parameters. And then we can set everything up when we go into the Live2D Cubism viewer. And I will show you how to do that after I finish rigging all this. Let's start the toggle. So the first toggle I'm gonna do is the toggle for the sad eyebrows and the mouth. So let's do, I think I'm gonna do one parameter for sad eyebrows, one for angry eyebrows, and then one for sad mouth. So 3 toggles total. So we're gonna do param sad brows. It doesn't really matter what you call it. I just call it something that's like easy to find later or that makes sense to me. So we'll do the sad eyebrows. We'll do angry eyebrows. And that's also gonna be minimum 0, maximum 1, default 0. And then we're gonna do frown, param frown, 0, 1. So we got sad eyebrows here. This parameter is all set up. So we're going to take the eyebrow, I think it's the brow form, not that one. Yeah, brow form. So let's take, I'm gonna go to where the form parameter is, go to this drop down menu and go to select so that it selects the object. And then, oh, that's why, because I had my parameters, my deformers hidden. So this button here, you can hide or show like your deformers. Yeah, I had them hidden. So now that eyebrow is selected. Oh, there it is. Okay, left eyebrow warp, and then where's the right eyebrow warp? There it is. We'll select both of them. We'll go over to sad eyebrows, make 2 keyforms. It'll yell at you, but it's okay. Here, let's set the brows here. And then when it's sad, we want to make sure that the parameters are always set to not angry, sad. So what we're gonna do is one at a time. Okay, so let's start with the left eyebrow. And I'm gonna do the same copy paste keyforms that I did in the eye rigging tutorial, which I will also link in the description if you haven't seen. So we will copy paste, or Control Shift C to copy this keyform. And we're gonna set that, first of all, make sure that the sad eyebrows parameter is set to 1.0, not 0.0. So we have that set to 1.0. We go over to the brows, we set it to the expression we want, Control Shift C on that keyform. Then we do the same for the other brow. Yeah, there we go. It was a little slow, but we do the same, Control Shift V for the other keyforms. Yeah, and then you do the same with the right eye. Where is it? Here it is. Or right eyebrow, sorry. Control-Shift-C, Control-Shift-V, Control-Shift-V. Yep, and now when the sad eyebrows is toggled, she will always have sad eyebrows, no matter what. So now that we have the sad eyebrows toggled, we're going to do the same for the angry eyebrows. 2 keyforms again. It's gonna yell at you again, but that is okay. It just means make sure that like all the other keyforms are set to 0. So like if I'm doing angry eyebrows, make sure you don't have the sad eyebrows set to 1.0. You have to make sure that toggle is inactive when you're working on another toggle, because that could cause problems and make your model look all wonky. So just keep going back and checking. That's really all it comes down to. Set the angry eyebrows toggle to 1.0, and then you're going to select only one of them at a time, go to where that warp deformer is, go to the -1.0 or wherever you have the angry eyebrow expression set, and then Control-Shift-C, Control-Shift-V, Control-Shift-V. And then you do the same with the R eyebrow warp. So now we'll do the mouth. The mouth is the same thing, so you just go to the mouth warp, and we're ignoring the cheeks for now, but we will be rigging the cheek puffs as well. And select all the mouth parts, and then go over to the frown. So -1.0 and 0.0, and then you're gonna do the same thing. Well, first of all, make sure they're keyed in. So it's the same thing, it's gonna yell at you. Set your frown parameter that we just set up to 1.0, and then Control-Shift-C. And you're gonna do that for all the lower ones first, and then like kind of go up the list. So all the like frowny parameters, we're gonna like go along and copy the ones on all the way on the left, and then like paste it to the right. Control-Shift-C, and then Control-Shift-V. And I'm probably gonna speed up me doing this because it's the same. I think I've explained it in detail. All right, so now the puffy cheeks. Let's hide those real quick. Okay, so where are we? So now when the parameter is set to frown, she will always have the angry mouth expression. Okay, so now that we have our parameters set, oop, that's not it, for like sad eyebrows, angry eyebrows, and the frown, we can just go ahead and set up the rest of our expressions, and then it's gonna be easy peasy from here. Let's start with the really happy expression. So the same with the sad eyes that I already did, we're just gonna make a new parameter, and it's gonna be happy, param happy. 0, 1 is the same thing as the other ones, and we're going to put in these happy sparkles. Where is that? Okay, so we go to happy sparkles, hit the 2 keyforms, and then for the happy, when it's set to 0.0, we're going to take the object. I completely lied, I'm so sorry. I did you dirty. Take the object, not the parameter, or not the deformer, but the object. Go to the expression parameter that you've set, click on the 2 keyforms right here, and then when it's set to 0.0, set the opacity to 0%. And then that way, when the happy expression is toggled, the sparkles will show up. So that's what we need to do. We need to set it so that it moves with the head. So let's take the deformer. We'll add it to head X and Y. So just do like 3 keyforms and 3 keyforms. And then we can just kind of bring it. And I mean, this is, you just do it however you want to do it. You don't have to deform them. You don't have to make them move at all if you don't want to. There we go. Then we got happy sparkles. All right, let's do, okay, we got the frown. That's so cute. Okay, is that everything? Oh yeah, she also wanted the pupils to be really tiny. So that's gonna take a little bit more work, but it's essentially the same thing. So we're gonna add Small pupils. I'm just gonna name this small pupils. Or small eyeballs, because that's what it is. Cram small eyes. 0, 1, okay. And then for this, we're just going to add the right eye and the left eye. Okay. And then when it's set to 1.0, we're going to make them small. So because we have them like attached to the IL open, IR open, and these, we're basically gonna have to like re-rig the eyeball X and Y, but it's not a big deal. So what we do is we're gonna go ahead and Control-Shift-C, keyform, and we're gonna start by pasting it to all of these. And then just like when we were rigging the eyeball X and Y, we're going to basically re-rig it. So we're gonna move over the eyeballs. We're gonna go back to small eyeballs because now we have to change it. Now we have to do the copy paste thing for when the eyes are closed. Luckily we only have 3 keyforms here, so it's not gonna be very difficult. And then I guess last thing is the cheek puff. So cheek puff depends, it can vary how you do it depending on how you chose to rig it, or how you chose to draw it, sorry. Because mine is only set to 1, like I have a special mouth shape specifically for the cheek puffs. So if you see, it changes my mouth shape to like, I'll show an image on the screen for the YouTube video. So as you can see right here, boop. I set a whole new mouth shape with having the flesh around it cover the open mouth. So I treated it as it was like an upper and lower lip combined. But the way Celestia drew it, let me show them again, is that they don't go over the mouth at all. They're their own little pieces. And that's gonna make rigging this a lot easier, honestly, than the way I did it. So all we need to do is we make another expression for them. Call it cheek puff. Do the same thing, 0 and 1, and then take both pieces, add 2 keyforms, and then just make it opacity 0, and then opacity 1. And it doesn't, if you don't want it to fade like that, then you can set it another keyform at like 0.9 or 0.8, doesn't really matter. And then you can make it so that the opacity is also 0 here, so that it only shows up, like really fast. You could either add the cheek puff to the mouth parameters, or you can add the mouth parameters to the cheek puff. I think I'm gonna try it adding the cheek puff to the mouth parameters. Actually, I'm not gonna add it to the mouth open because you're not really gonna ever, yeah, you're not gonna, like, you physically can't do that. You can't puff out your cheeks and also open your mouth at the same time. So there's no reason to do it that way. Even though it looks real cute, it's just not practical. So we're just gonna focus on having it for these keyforms. Yeah, okay. So when it's frown, yeah, we're just gonna want to move them to match the mouth, really. She looks like she's eating. Nom 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 nom. All right, and then last thing we do for the cheek puff is, where's the head? And then we could puff out the cheeks a little bit on the sides. Just to give that extra puffy cheeks. Except I don't want it, I don't want it to be gradual. I want it to be only when the cheeks are puffed. So we're gonna also add a keyform here. Hello? Oh, we'll just copy and paste it. Control-Shift-C, Control-Shift-V. There we go. So now only when the cheeks are puffed out. Yeah. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. And it also, because we have the cheek puffs in the mouth warp, it follows the mouth, so it's not gonna, it shouldn't give you any issues there. But if it does, then you can always just move it, like adjust as needed. And let's see, make sure it looks okay for each. Yeah, looks pretty good to me. So there's cheek puff done. Now that we have saved it, we are going to export. So we're going to export for runtime, export as Mach 3 file, and I'll show you how to set up the expressions in the Cubism viewer. So go ahead and do it. For VTube Studio, it's fine if you do Cubism 4.0. For different programs, it might need you to do one of the older versions. But we're just going to do 4.0 because we're using VTube Studio. Don't worry about any of these. You should be fine. Just export. Just all the ones that are checked, just kind of leave it at default. Leave everything at default. Don't mess with anything. Click OK. And then I already have it set to the file right here. This folder is Celestia Dwarf _VTS. VTS stands for VTube Studio. That's the format that VTube Studio wants you to save your folder as when you like import the folder into the program. So we're going to go ahead and save it. And we already have an old Celestia Dwarf Mach 3 file, so we're just going to replace that. Okay, now that it's finished saving, it opens up the file for you, which is very handy because we're going to go straight into Cubism Viewer. And Live2D Cubism Viewer comes with Live2D, so you don't have to worry about downloading anything separate. So in order to do it, take your Mach 3 file. In order to view the model in the viewer, you go ahead and take the Mach 3 file that we just exported, drag it over to the viewer, and here we go. I'm not sure why, but the Y parameter doesn't want to work, like the body Y doesn't like to work for me in VTube in the Cubism viewer, but everything else works. And when I import the model into VTube Studio, the Y parameter does work. It's just not working in the viewer. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's causing that or if that's going to be an issue for you, but yeah, just wanted to point that out. But here you can view the physics. You can make sure that everything's okay. It'll auto blink, so you could check to make sure that the blink is okay. All right, it looks good to me. In order to set the expressions as expression files that we can set up as toggles in VTube Studio, you go over to File, Add Expression, and then you could choose which one you want to start with. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to start with, I'll start with Angry so that I can show you how the toggles work. So now that created a folder for you called Expressions. Click on the little plus right here to expand the folder. Click on the Angry expression, and it will show you all of the parameters as checkboxes. So we can go ahead and go over to our Angry parameter, set that to 1.0, and then we don't just want the angry face and the little angry cheek to show up, we also want her to frown. Frown, toggle that to 1.0, and now she's frowning. And then finally, angry eyebrows, we can toggle that to 1.0. So now she has angry eyebrows. And you could check the angles, make sure everything looks okay. She looks pretty angry to me. Next, we will add another expression. This time we will do the sad expression, sad eyes. Click on that expression, and then it'll go away. So you can view the different expressions and how they look. You can also set, if you want them to fade in and out, you can check these boxes for fade in and fade out. And you could set it to, I usually do 200 milliseconds. I think that looks pretty good. We'll do the same for sad. So it happens pretty quickly, but not like, it's not instantaneous. So you could actually see the mouth go to the frown instead of it like quickly going to the frown. So it just looks a little bit more natural, in my opinion. We're just going to continue doing this with every expression. You can also do this with different arm poses. So for example, let's add another one. I will call this wave right. We'll go to the R wave toggle and toggle that all the way up so that when we toggle to this expression, she can have her arm be up. The cool thing about VTube Studio, you'll see it when I set this up, but you can have different expressions set at the same time. So if I wanted both the wave left and the wave right, hello, you could set that up so that both arms are waving or both arms are up at the same time. Okay, so we have that, and I will get back to you when all the expressions are set. Okay, now we have everything set up, all of our expressions here. We did not add the cheek puff because we will be doing that in VTube Studio. So now we can check, make sure everything looks good, make sure all the fades work correctly. Okay, so once this is ready, all you have to do is hit Control S. You could also go to File, Export Model Settings, but it's literally just saving. So Control S and click Save. I already have a file, so I'm just gonna go ahead and overwrite it. And it's gonna ask if you wanna save the related files, which are all your expressions. Obviously, you definitely wanna do that. And now everything is saved in your folder. So now what we do is we copy the folder, Control C. I have VTube Studio on Steam, so I'm going to show you how to save it on Steam. It's going to be in Program Files, 86-bit, and then go over to Steam, Steam Apps, Common, where is it? VTube Studio, VTube Studio Data, Streaming Assets, Live2D Models, and then, oh look, it's me! We go ahead and Control V to paste the folder. So now we open VTube Studio, and I'm going to have to unload this model so that I can show you the Celestia Dwarf model. Okay, and here is VTube Studio. There's double of me. I'm not going to show you like fully how to set everything up in VTube Studio. I'm just going to show you how to set the toggles. So go ahead and click this button here, and now Celestia Dwarf has loaded in. So we go ahead and click that. When we first load in a model, it's going to have the option to auto setup. I'm using my iPad technically, but it's the same as using the iPhone. You could also use webcam, but I know eye tracking doesn't work as well for webcam, so it's recommended to use an iPhone if you have one available. And it's gonna create parameters automatically. And here I am. Well, here Celestia is. And everything looks pretty good from the get-go. If this is a good time to check if the mouth is not working properly and all that stuff, but we're not gonna worry about like setting everything up right now. Right now, we're just going to set up the cheek puff parameter for you and the toggles. So we go to settings, this one right here with the little person and the setting mark, and then this is where all of your parameters are. So I know we're gonna need one for cheek puff. At the very bottom, there will be a little plus here. Click the plus and then name it whatever you want. I'm obviously going to name it cheek puff. Input is what your model is gonna do. So she's gonna puff out her cheek, select that. Output, you want param cheek puff. And so now, okay, so now that we have the, we set the cheek puff parameter. Now we can puff out our cheeks. And it's not perfect. You might want to play with the settings some more. For instance, I had to set it to the input being 0.3 or else the mouth was open all the time, and that's not ideal. So now let me show you how to do the toggles. Go over to the slate. So now that we are in the hotkey settings, we click this plus button right here, and we can name the expression whatever we want. So for this expression, I will do angry. Hotkey action will be set/unset expression. Click select, click on the expression button, and then it'll read from the folder. Like, make sure everything is in the same folder, and it'll be able to automatically read from it. So you don't have to worry about any config files. I know for FaceRig you do have to worry about config files, but luckily for Live2D or for VTube Studio you do not. So go ahead and click on, where's angry? Angry, select. You could choose whatever key combination you want. I'm just gonna do F1. So now when I press F1, I'm mad. and it looks like all the toggles are working correctly. I'm blushing right now because in settings, it defaults to blushing when you're smiling. So technically I'm kind of smiling right now, but we can change that. So if I delete this blush while smiling, I will not be blushing anymore when I'm mad, okay? And you can also set animations if you want to do here. So for instance, we hit plus. Oop. I'm going away, my people need me. Okay, sorry. We could do hotkey action, play animation, and that is going to draw from the same folder as everything else. I'm going to set it to wave both, so that I wave both my hands, or she waves both her hands. I'll just name it wave both. And you can, it's the same, like you can change key combination. You can also set it as a screen button hotkey. I'll show you how to do that. So if I set this to hotkey 1, and you can change the color to whatever you want, when you get out of this menu, and then you can just click this, and I wave to you. Hello! I noticed that there's some issues with the wave when I'm at different angles, so I am gonna have to go back in and fix that. But for the most part, we're good. Hello! Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was useful for you. And yeah, you take care of yourselves, and I hope you have a cozy evening filled with stars.